In the build-up, you may not have known this. Those of you who daven may not have even ever noticed this, because rabbis usually don't point this out. But in the daily prayers in the morning, in the build-up to the Shema, there's a word that's used from the Torah portion we just completed just before Hannah and Amanda pick it up tomorrow. The word I can't say tomorrow morning in the presence of lots of kids because they'll giggle and they'll associate it with something sexualized. The word komamiyut is the last word in the following sentence of the closing verses of Leviticus. Here it is. I am your God, the Torah says, who brought you out of Egypt from slavery no more. I broke the bars of your slavery and caused you to walk erect. Erect. In the prayer which precedes the watchword of our faith every day, it uses the same Hebrew word. If you ever see people shuckling, they may not even think about what they're reading. It says, gather our people in peace from the corners of the earth and lead us erect. It's the only other place where the word appears, to our holy land. What's the Jewish message for the world? The most important spiritual benefit of God freeing us from slavery was so that our people and all people could walk erect with their head held high in dignity. Slaves and people who have been through rough times can easily feel an inner sense of shame and walk around with their heads bowed. Giving people their dignity is as important as anything. If you've ever met a victim of sexual or domestic violence, or even a happy person with a disability, and they walk around with their head down, Judaism says your job is to lift their head up. Our high school and college kids are about to lead Dream Street for the severely handicapped children who need help going to the bathroom, getting dressed. And even if violating the children's privacy is difficult because you have to strip them down, these great counselor kids of ours manage to find a way to maintain their handicapped campers' dignity. Let me share with you a story from the Russian author Turgenev. I think this will bring it home. He says, I was once walking in the street. When a beggar stopped me. He was a frail old man with inflamed eyes, blue chapped lips, filthy rough rags, and disgusting sores. Oh, how poverty had disfigured this repulsive-looking man, unlike me, who's privileged and wealthy. The man stretched out to me his red, swollen, filthy hand and whimpered for charity. I reached into my pocket, but no wallet, no coins, no money did I find. I had left them all at home. The beggar waited, and his outstretched hand twitched and trembled slightly. Embarrassed and confused, I seized his hand, pressed it, and said, "Brother, don't be angry with me. I'm sorry. I have nothing to give you. I left my wallet at home, brother." The beggar raised his bloodshot eyes. His blue lips smiled. He returned the pressure of my fingers. "Never mind," the beggar stammered. "Thank you. Thank you for this. No one ever called me a brother before. This was my gift." So much is made today, as it should be, on the subject of bullying, how it's wrong to pick on anyone, and how kids must stand up, speak out, and stop bullying when it's happening. But it's so important to help children and adults who've been clobbered emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually, to walk erect in dignity with their head held high. This is one of so many examples I can give on how the values of Judaism can help heal and make you a better person. That's our agenda as modern Jews. It's not to get Jews to gravitate to Torah. It's to show how relevant Torah is to helping others and improving the world. It's always risky embracing the larger world in which we live. How can we keep Judaism going by adopting our surrounding culture and practices? Friday nights, when it's convenient, you go to shul. But it's Friday night. Sunday is the Lord's Day, not Saturday. You don't have to be a Woody Allen fan or even have seen his movie Zelig. I don't know if you've seen it to get the point of this movie. Woody Allen portrays a guy who begins to look more and more like all the powerful people around him by offering them and him prestige and influence. So for instance, when Zelig is in photographs with Indian chiefs and tries to impress them and sits with them and he starts looking like an Indian in the movie. Nazi generals, business millionaires. Zelig morphs into them by becoming more like them than they are themselves. He's always in the center, showing his zeal out there. He wishes to belong, and by the end of the movie, everybody looks the same. Well, one traditional rabbi has suggested that Zelig is the Jew throughout history. You know, we've managed to adapt to the rhythm of the cultures in which we live. Even if we go out in Manhattan or downtown Memphis and meet the beggar in the street that Turgenev talked about, we're assimilating. And you hear a lot of people say, that's bad. Is assimilation good, bad, or both? It's a big American Jewish talent. We talk, dress, work, vacation like all other Americans. Unless you dress ultra-Orthodox or in black, our habits and lifestyle as American Jews reflect American culture. It's no coincidence, for instance, that I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy was written by a Jew. Did you know that? I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy was written by a Jew, and You're a Grand Old Flag was sung by a Jew. We even have an exhibit upstairs you can see for one more week called Bagel and Grits, exploring Jewish life in the Deep South with pictures of challah, pecan pie, and cotton. The one common theme throughout this exhibit, sponsored by Hannah Orgel's family in the museum, made possible by Amanda's family, the one common theme is that Judaism has survived in the Deep South because we have embraced and adapted to our surroundings. But wait, doesn't the Torah say, and you'll hear rabbis use this verse, you shall not copy the practices of the land of Egypt or the land of Canaan? That sounds like you shouldn't even wear a grizzly's yarmulke. You may become like the people with whom you live. So you have to speak out. You can't adopt the practices of other people and remain what frum Jews call Torah true. You can't serve two masters, or can we? Is the condemnation of assimilation really that sweeping? Isn't it possible to learn the best from what's around you and bring it to Judaism? Well, don't listen to Greenstein. Listen to the winemaker and rabbi, the greatest one, Rashi, 900 years ago, Ibn Ezra. They said it applies to the Egyptians' legal system and the Canaanites who were so corrupt they engaged in cultic prostitution. Now, if they lived in France, Spain, and Italy 1,000 years ago, and they said that Jews, Christians, Muslims, and others have much to learn from each other, why aren't we more outspoken about this, about outreach? A word we don't allow in synagogue here is goyim, because our brothers, our Memphians, we're the same inside and outside. In referring to Christians, or schwarze, in referring to people of color. We don't allow those words in our synagogue. People who aren't of our own faith or color or creed, if you live in Memphis, can really sensitize you and teach you how to be more loving, caring, and more sensitive. And that can, in turn, help us understand more about Judaism and feel it more and practice it more fully, rather than seeing non-Jewish stories like my story about the beggar who wasn't Jewish as a threat to our Jewishness. Now, let me close. This doesn't mean blindly following bad practices in the larger culture. That's why we don't bully. Judaism despises that. Judaism is the ultimate counterculture. Help people stand erect, oppose all that cheapens human life or reduces our consciousness of the sacred and what really matters. In closing, let me quote Rabbi Artson, who says, "Much outside the walls of your synagogue deserves our opposition. But those insights which can strengthen the values of Torah, like human dignity, can make your Jewish identity even more vibrant and more central. By adding to the riches of our heritage with the wisdom, kindness, and equal humanity of others, we assure the continued greatness of our Jewish faith. Amen."